The Festival of Unleavened Bread is a festival that we are to keep. When we pay attention to the law in Leviticus chapter 23, it identifies in verse 6 that on the 15th day of the first month is the Festival of Unleavened Bread. And 7 days we are to eat unleavened bread. Now this is a feast that comes after the Passover. The Passover happens in the evening of the 14th day of the first month. And in this same month, the 15th day, we are to observe the Festival of Unleavened Bread. As I mentioned to you before, that 7 days we are to eat unleavened bread. So 7 days this festival is to be observed. I want to continue reading so that we can gain more insight. So Leviticus 23 verse 6, it mentions on the 15th day of the first month is the Festival of Unleavened Bread. 7 days we must eat unleavened bread. Verse 7 mentions, in the first day we shall have an holy convocation, no servile work shall be done. So on this same day, we are to observe this day as an holy convocation. The word holy in the Hebrew is Kodesh, which means, yes, holy, set apart, sanctified. So this day is a day we are to keep it holy, set apart, set aside. And one of the ways we do this is when we do no servile work. As a matter of fact, based on the scripture, this is the major way we keep a day holy, sanctified, set apart, when we do no servile work. No servile work or no kinds of work is to be done on this day. It is to be observed just as the Shabbat. Verse 8, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Supreme Creator 7 days. In the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. So for these 7 days, the festival would be observed, and an offering will be done on each day. When we look at the law, the priestly service, the priests, Levites, they did services for the Supreme Creator every single day by doing oblations and sacrifices. And on these special convocations or feasts, they would do sacrifice. So sacrifice was done on these days. So an offering or sacrifice, offering or sacrifice would be done when I say sacrifice, I mention it I am mentioning it as it relates to the killing and offering of an animal. Sacrifice is the killing, and then the offering of an animal. Sacrifice is a broad term that can be used within these definitions, whether we are killing, whether we are offering. It can be used for these terminologies. But going back to the point, no servile work would be done besides the offering or the sacrifice by the priest. This was the instruction that our ancestors received when they were given these principles. Now, due to the disobedience of our ancestors, we are no longer in the land. Majority of us, where the Creator has sanctified His name. Yes, we are dispersed into different countries, and the priests, the Levitical priests, the Levite priests, are not sanctified. So they cannot perform sacrifice in the land in righteousness. They are dispersed. According to the regulation, Deuteronomy chapter 12, it shows that sacrifice is not to be done in anywhere, only in the land where the Supreme Creator have sanctified His name. All those who are doing sacrifices in places where they choose to are in error. Sacrifice and offering is to be done in the place where the Supreme Creator have sanctified His name. And the priests are there performing their daily function, and the sanctuary is constructed. These are the criterias for sacrifice to be done. Malachi chapter 3 explains that when the priests are sanctified, we shall do sacrifice in righteousness. So this is the ordinances. These are the ordinances that we must keep and do. So at this time, wherever you are dispersed, there is no need for you to do sacrifice and offering. However, you are to make sure and do these feasts. Yes, you are to be careful to observe and do these feasts. So you are to make sure and make your unleavened bread and eat your unleavened bread for these 7 days. Observe the Holy Convocation on the first day as a Shabbat. Observe and do the Holy Convocation on the first day as a Shabbat. And on the 7th day, observe and do the Holy Convocation as a Shabbat. And make sure that you eat unleavened bread for these 7 days. This is what you are to do. Besides the sacrifice or offering, which you are not to do at this time. You and you, your family, your community, or people of like mind who keep these feasts, you are to assemble and do these things. Gather for meeting or assemble. Give reverence to the Supreme Creator. Another terminology is worship. Bow down and give reverence. Recite the law. And make sure and feast on the unleavened bread. Once you have done these three things, you have fulfilled your requirements for the day. You have fulfilled your requirements for the feast day. And you do this thing for each of the 7 days. The onlyest thing is that on the first day and on the 7th day is a holy convocation. So on those days, no kind of work is to be doing. The first day and the 7th day is to be kept as a Shabbat. I'm just reminding you of what you are supposed to do. Exodus chapter 12 gives us more explanation on the Festival of Unleavened Bread. And I want to quote Exodus 12, verse 18. And here's what it says. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. So remember, the 14th day of the first month is the Passover. On the Passover, we have to make sure and eat unleavened bread and eat the Passover, which is the 1 year lamb or goat without blemish. We have to make sure and consume it with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. If you think that you are not sure from what I am saying, I'm going to scroll up so you can see exactly what I'm saying. Exodus chapter 12, verse 6. And you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the community of Israel shall kill it in the evening. What is that? The 1 year lamb or goat without blemish. Verse 8. I'm dropping to verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in the night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. Dropping down to verse 11. And you shall eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is the Passover. So this is the Passover. So the unleavened bread actually starts from the 14th day at even. This is where or when we are supposed to start eating unleavened bread. Now I'm dropping to verse 18, where I will continue reading so that we can be familiar with the scriptures. Verse 18 mentions, in the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. So from the evening of the 14th day, unleavened bread is to be eaten, and on the 21st day at even, unleavened bread is to be the consumption of unleavened bread, or the festival of unleavened bread, ends at the even of the 21st day of the month. Verse 19. 7 days there shall no unleavened found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the community of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. So, from the 14th day of the first month at even, no unleavened bread, no leaven, yes, no leavened bread is to be found in your household. What is leaven? Leaven is yeast or raising agents. You are familiar with bread. When you put yeast or raising agent, the bread grows larger than normal or usual. This is the yeast or the raising agent that is causing that effect. So these things are to be removed out of the household. So for 7 days, you are to make sure and observe and do this regulation. So when it is removed on the 14th day, 7 days from the 15th day to the 21st day would be 7 days. And on the evening of the 21st day is when the feast has come to an end. Verse 19. 7 days there shall be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the community of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. So the native or stranger is not to be found with any leaven in his household. If any leaven is found in his household, that soul shall be cut off from the community of Israel. Verse 20. You shall eat nothing leavened in all your habitations. Shall you eat unleavened bread? You shall eat nothing leavened in all your habitation. You shall eat unleavened bread. So every household that is within the community, they are to observe and perform this feast. So no leaven is to be found in the households that are observing and keeping this feast. In the times when our ancestors had kept this feast, they were a community. So any leaven that was found had to be removed from their community. It was removed because each and every one were performing these feasts. Due to the disobedience of our ancestors, our people are dispersed. So it's challenging in the times we are living in. Why I say it's challenging? Some of us who are familiar with the law, because we live amongst people that have no desire to keep these feasts, we live in a predicament where we have to make changes. And these changes may be challenging. So for example, you live in a household and there are people in the household that eat leaven or that eat yeast, bread with yeast and leaven, it becomes challenging. Now, myself, as a guide, teacher, instructor, cannot give you an instructions to go against the law or the Torah. I know people that have separated from their household that they used to live in because the household is functioning in contrary to the commandments and the law, and they're not able to perform these ordinances efficiently. And I would advise you who make the decision to perform these laws and ordinances, make the necessary effort to separate yourself and keep these ordinances if you are having issues and challenges wherever you live. It is better to live in a household where you are able to keep these ordinances or uphold them in peace than live in a household where you are facing challenges and have to compromise yourself for the sake of the law. I hope you who are listening are familiar. Make the efforts and keep and uphold and perform the law. The Father of creation, the Supreme Creator, will reward you for making the necessary sacrifices. I want to further mention to you that don't feel discouraged. Yes, don't feel discouraged. But be strong and courageous. Be fearless and determined to do all that is according to the law and the covenant. This is the law concerning the Festival of Unleavened Bread.